All right, everyone, time for some more fun chatter about Trump, impeachment, Pelosi, little Adam shit, and all of these other people. I've noticed something. In the last few days, the Ukraine/impeachment thing, the whistleblower complaint bullshit story, has become a self-feeding firestorm. What happens is that liberals have whipped themselves up into a frenzy, and it's like a dog chasing its tail, and it keeps spinning around until it gets dizzy and wanders off. That's what's going to happen. The Democrats have done this before. Trump throws them bait. He throws them something juicy. Mueller, Trump tower visit, Billy Bush tape, whatever it happens to be. Whether Trump is the one engineering it or not seems to make little difference. They get a big dick about them. They start rambling about Orange Man bad. We're going to get him out of office. Impeachment. He'll be done any day now. He'll be a lame duck in his first year due to low approval. A million different predictions that never pan out. And they keep building upon it. They drive themselves wild with foaming rage, so to speak. They've got Trump derangement syndrome in the literal sense, like this term that initially was primarily a joke. It was a joke about people who couldn't deal with the election results, wore pink hats, and screamed at the sky. Hashtag resist, rah, ree. That was what it was about, but it's become real. It's become a real phenomenon. It should be a medical term for psychology or something like that, because it's literally real. What happens is there are people who can't deal with the fact that Trump is in the White House, number one, not impeachable, number two, and they can't deal with the fact that because the Democrats are so weak and so confused and don't know what the fuck they're doing, he'll probably be in there several years from now as well, having won re-election. They're tired of this shit, and so they want impeachment. The problem is that Pelosi made a mistake. Unless her idea is to drag out the impeachment inquiry quietly through the election, just to hang it over Trump's head in hopes of keeping him from being elected. Unless that's her genius plan, which I guess could work at the very least, she's fucking nuts. Because even mentioning the possibility of impeachment has taken the far left and enabled them. It has made them feel strong. What she did is she gave an inch. Now they're going to take a yard. They're going to seize the inquiry. They're going to ram it into their ass and into the ground, just like Schiff has already done on day one. First few hours of inquiries. What does Schiff do? He steals embarrassing defeat from the jaws of normal defeat. You've already got a messy situation where Pelosi has taken a half step back. She's like, well, we've got to go look at all the facts before we do any actual impeaching, so let's keep it calm here. And so that's going to happen. They say, what are you fucking talking about? Schiff decides to read off a laundry list of material that doesn't even appear in the whistleblower complaint or in the call transcript, gets called out about it and calls it parody. And that becomes the big news of the day. So you've already failed. You've already had one major problem with the inquiry that should be very straightforward. You're alleging that the President of the United States conducted himself poorly with a foreign leader with an eye to election interference. Fundamentally, that's basically what you're claiming. You're trying to bypass the results of the Mueller probe to go around the Russia issue that you already lost heartily on because there was no Russian collusion. Now you're talking about, well, no, it was actually Ukrainian groups and it was sort of off the record, semi-non-official. It involved Biden and stuff. By the way, some left-wing media outlets, no shit, literally pointing out that in attacking Trump, Pelosi is throwing Biden under the bus. Because this involves Biden centrally. The entire issue involves Biden and his son. What did they know or do in involvement with Ukraine? Now the envoy to Ukraine, what's his name? Volker, I believe it is, resigns. He's like, fuck it, I'm out. By the way, some people saying, well, what's your response to this? My response is, would you want to be the envoy to Ukraine at the moment? I wouldn't. It has nothing to do with Trump being guilty or the White House is falling apart. No, he doesn't want to deal with that shit. He doesn't want to deal with that firestorm. Neither would you. You're the envoy to Ukraine. It's not exactly the most prestigious position you could be. It doesn't make you the mayor of New York City or a senator or something like that. It's more of a second-tier position, and yet you have to deal with first-tier style garbage? Yeah, you're not paying him enough for him to fucking deal with that. You probably won't be able to fill the position permanently for some time to come. Nobody will want it. No. I'm going to make you ambassador to Russia right during a nuclear standoff, says, some president in the past, just because I fucking hate you. No, Trump should appoint someone to that position. I'm sure there's an interim or some shit like that. Appoint someone you hate. Give them that shitty job. Let them mop up the problem. It'll be funny for at least some weeks to come. Yeah, he takes, hey, Adam Schiff, do you want this position? You can be envoy to Ukraine. I know it's what you've clamored for your entire life, after all. No, the impeachment stuff, here's what I'd say. the chances of Trump being impeached are still quite low. The odds of him being removed from office are basically zero. It was funny to hear Jeff Flake earlier say, well, if it was a private vote, I'd think that at least 35 Republican senators would vote to convict and remove him from office. You haven't even seen the results of the inquiry yet. This is Jeff Flake being flaky again. He's like a Joe Walsh sort of character. He's a never-Trumper. It doesn't surprise me. He knows as long as he weighs in on a hot-button issue, he can at least get front-page news and sell a couple more copies of whatever shitty book he's released recently. My life during Trump, how I triumphed by basically fleeing the battlefield and being a shitfuck. Jeff Flake's new hit book. How I learned to love McCain. How I learned I was basically a Democrat with an R after my name and nobody noticed because they had Trump derangement syndrome. That's a good title for the runner-up. What's happened is that the Democrats, they get angry. They say, well, Trump did a bad thing, and then they run themselves into circles and they build and build and build, and then at some point it collapses. When it becomes clear that there's no actual impeachable scandal here, the legacy media will immediately shut it out of the news cycle. They won't want to talk about it anymore because it'll be good for Trump if they do. At that point, the whole thing deflates very quickly and the Democrats once again are let down. That's what I honestly believe will happen. I give a 10% chance they impeach, at most. A 0.1% chance that if that happens, which isn't itself likely, that they would actually remove him. Because I can't see anything impeachable here. I don't care what Trump said to the Ukrainian foreign leader. I don't care if he pressured him to open an investigation into Biden and Hunter Biden. If there was a reason to possibly believe there was wrongdoing, that's part of his job. It doesn't matter. So what they're trying to say, what the Dems are saying, is that the fact that the subject of a potential probe could be political in nature exempts them from being probed if the sitting president is of the other party. That's what I'm supposed to believe. I don't believe that. That smacks of, hey, we have insider knowledge that Biden is guilty and we don't want him probed because we don't want him and his family embroiled in scandal while there's a presidential campaign going on. Very, very interesting. Sounds kind of Hillary Clinton-esque, if you ask me. The Democrats shouldn't rue it too much, though. I mean, Elizabeth Warren right now is favored by the odds makers over Biden anyway and is steadily climbing up to become the front runner. I wouldn't be surprised if this sinks Biden's career. I wouldn't be surprised if it gets brought up at the next debate. Much to the chagrin of the far left, it'll actually congeal around him to defend him if that's brought up. Oh, it's going to be a sticky issue during the next Dem debates. By the way, Tulsi Gabbard flipping. She now supports impeachment. Why? Who knows? Probably just to go because she's a coward. She wanted to go along with the crowd. I'm still glad she's at the next debate, though. If only to hopefully tear Elizabeth Warren a new asshole, assuming they put her on stage with her, which I doubt that they will. They'll probably put her on with people who are irrelevant. So Biden and Warren will be on one stage. Gabbard gets on the other with... She can beat up on Kamala again. She can beat up on Buttigieg. That'll be funny. They'll probably do it. They'll let her take out Yang and Booker and some of these other second-tier people. Beto. They'll put her on stage with Kamala, Buttigieg, Beto, Francis O'Rourke, of course, Robert Francis, Cory Booker, and Yang. And then they'll have Biden and Warren face off on the other stage with 4 people who aren't even in the second tier. That's probably what they'll do. Oh, yeah, and Sanders. They'll throw Sanders over onto the Tulsi Gabbard side so he can lecture her on guns and so she can lecture him on economics. That'll be fun. Yay, it'll be a real rip snorter. I don't think they're using a random number generator to allot the candidates to the stages. I think that they're thinking strategically, how do we get Warren or Biden nominated? Let's sit down and have a focus group talk about this for the next fucking 10 days. That's about all. Peace out.